Medicine is something admired. It's a discipline, it's a study that is admired by all. You may not know this, but only 0.5% of people in this country are physicians. 30% are educated now, but only 0.5%. You represent almost rarefied space. And yet, medicine is deeply personal. You will see that more and more, that people believe in their doctors. And so I'm going to surprise somebody. My physician is in the room. He's on the faculty. He won't like this, but David Stewart, wherever you are, stand. He is my physician. Wherever you, Dr. David Stewart, wherever you are, please stand. He is constantly getting me to lose weight. You get this point, right? And I bring it up because I want to make this as human in its orientation in what I say to you in the next few minutes. There was a saying by Mr. Burr in the wonderful production of Hamilton, in which Mr. Hamilton asked Mr. Burr, what does it take to be successful here at Princeton? And Mr. Burr gave him 4 words, and those words were, smile more, talk less. Smile more, talk less. I've thought about that a lot. You know, I'm blessed. I'm finishing college. I was able to get married at 19, and I've been married 45 years. Thank God for my wife, but she has taught me, smile more, talk less. Give that concept a round of applause. Smile more, talk less. And the layers of meaning there for you as physicians would be this, and this is what I think about when I think about Dr. Stewart, who has this wonderful smile, is that when you are talking less, you tend to listen more. And you have been trained to listen. And so my message today first is that the language that you use, the way you think about yourselves first, the language that you use, the way you interact with each other, the values that you hold will be so important. You become like the things you love. I was so impressed by what Sarah said. The fact that, first of all, she consulted with others, and then she gave us a way of remembering what she was saying, and she said it with such authenticity. Give her another round of applause, would you please? So I did the same thing, Sarah. I went to people in this class, and they are my kitchen cabinet this morning. Their names, and I want them to stand. Rebecca, Greg, Elena, Justin, and Michael. Wherever you are, stand up. Let me see you. Rebecca, Greg, Elena, Justin, and Michael. They were very helpful to me. Thank you all very much. And let me tell you what they said. And the reason I want to do this is to make the point to you that whatever you need really to know before some commencement speaker speaks, you really have it within you. In fact, I will go even further and say, what you really need to know about what's right and wrong and about your values you received from your parents. Give your families, your parents and grandparents, another round of applause, would you please? You got so much of that in those early years. And I was amazed by the themes they gave me, and they fit well with what you said, Sarah. They talked about the fact that medicine and the study of medicine can bring out both the best and the worst in people, because it is so stressful that you can either be pushed and stressed out and feel beaten down, or you can be inspired and work to be your very best. That the challenge for each of you is to remember those altruistic values, those ideals that brought you to this work. That somehow you understand that of those to whom much is given, much is required. And that somehow you must constantly work to be better yourselves in your own personal health and wellness, because you can't help others if you're not well yourself, but learning from your mistakes, getting up when things go wrong, focusing on the positive and bringing out the best in others. I often say, graduates, that there are 2 kinds of people in the world. There are people who can elevate you and inspire you, and when you lead them, you go, my God, that was wonderful. And there are other people who can suck the energy out of you, every ounce of energy out of your body. And you know who they are. And the challenge you face as physicians is to work to bring out, whether it's your colleagues or patients, to bring out the best in them. It is so important that you see yourselves as leaders and educators. I went back last night in the spirit of transparency and read about 25 different speeches by people to medical school graduates. And there were certain themes that I heard from people like Hrabowski and others. They said that you are moral leaders, that you must see yourselves not simply, as one of the graduates here said, as somebody looking at a collection of organs, but that you are understanding that every human being has his or her own distinctiveness, and that you have the opportunity, though, to be a moral leader, that you have values. You're not a technician, you're a thinker, a person with compassion, a person with ethical standing, and that you have the opportunity and indeed the responsibility to speak up for the truth wherever it leads you. For the truth. Give me a round of applause for the truth. It's so important. I am dedicating this story to a graduate of mine, a person who was one of my students, who by the time of age 12, Jamie had lost both of his parents. And he had a health condition himself. And he was considered, people called him Dr. Hrabowski Jr. because he went around to people at the university. He was in biochemistry and he was planning to become a physician. And he would go around saying to students, "What's your philosophy of life?" And they're going, "What? What's your philosophy of life?" And he would talk about his philosophy of life all the time and about the meaning of life itself. And they always started teasing him, calling him Dr. Hrabowski Jr. Well, he was out playing soccer one day, came home, took a nap, and never woke up at age 20. But he left us somehow prophetically with a wonderful, wonderful saying that's called "Life is Beautiful." If you look on the web, you'll find it from Jamie Herbert. It says, "I value life because I realize that too many people waste it. I smile because I realize that too many people cry. I laugh because I know too many people take things too seriously. I lead because too many people have been led astray. I speak because people need to listen, but I listen because so many people have been ignored. I have fun because too many people are always busy. I live for a purpose because too many people have died for no purpose. I love because too many people show hate. I keep trying because too many people give up. I appreciate what I have because so many people take it for granted. Life is so beautiful." Give him a round of applause for that spirit. And I give you Jamie as a gift because his spirit lives within me, but you are having today dreams fulfilled that he always wanted to see, that so that in some ways you represent the best of him, that you are there to say to people that life indeed is so beautiful. I want you to think about human beings as a collection of stories. Each of us is a product of our childhood experiences. I grew up in Birmingham, the son of teachers, and I was a privileged child of color because I could be born in the hospital when most little black kids could not in 1950. But even as a privileged child, I had to be born in the basement of the hospital, under the pipes, because we were not allowed, and black doctors were not allowed to go beyond the basement. And yet, I stand here today to say to you that what my parents taught me, what my mentors have taught me is there's no time to be a victim. Give me a round of applause for the idea, no time to be a victim. Each of us has these stories, and I, sitting in the back of the church one day, I'm listening to this person at the lectern, this minister, and he said, if the children participate in this peaceful protest, all of America will understand that even our children know the difference between right and wrong. And I'm sitting in the back of the room not wanting to be there in the middle of the week, doing my math and eating my M&Ms, the good kind with the peanuts, and I'm there, right? I'm getting smarter and fatter all the time. And you know, the Southerners like those cheeks, those fat cheeks, right? And I'm doing this, and all of a sudden, I hear him say that, and I say, who is that guy? And what was his name? Dr. Martin Luther King. And I had the privilege of going and marching with him as a child leader at 12. And they put us in jail, and we were treated like animals, and still I heard my parents saying, don't let anybody else define who you are. They may treat you like an animal, but you know you are a child of God. You are a first-rate human being. And I looked out, and there our parents were outside the jail with Dr. King. And Dr. King said this, what you do this day as children will have an impact on people who've not yet been born. And after that, the civil rights legislation, the higher education legislation, and you represent that dream. In 1963, there's nowhere in America you could have seen a group as diverse from all over the world as we see here. You represent the best of humankind. Give yourselves a round of applause for the American dream, for the dream of humankind. And so I want you to know your stories in the way that I knew all of my life. I wanted to teach kids to love math and science. I wanted people to know that it's great to learn, that you could be a little black kid who loved being smart, wanted to do the best that he could. And here you are today, having done so well in a field where so few are able to make it. You know, my TED Talk talks about the fact that the vast majority of Americans who start in science, anything in science, get wiped out. They leave science within the first year or two. All of you know people from your freshman year chemistry course who never made it. You know you do, right? You know, and you know people who just said, oh, I don't like that anymore, and you knew the grades weren't quite what they needed to be. It takes a lot to get to med school. People who've not done it have no clue how much it took just to get into med school. And they certainly have no clue of what it's taken for you to be here today. You know what it is, but one of the things said by your classmates was, with all that you know now, with all the brilliance and the knowledge that you have the responsibility, as Sarah said, to keep that humility. There's something powerful about having life and death right there. There's something, you have this kind of noble career where you have in your hands people's lives. They look to you for trust and for respect. And the key is to make sure you remember the humanity of each person. You know, my grandmother went to the 6th grade. She could not go any further in school because of the color of her skin. And she would say to me, Freeman, you worked really hard, and so you're going to go far in life, further than you could ever imagine. She said, but I want you to remember this. She said, the higher up you go in life, the more I want you to stay on your knees. And I looked at her. She said, for 2 reasons. One, keep your faith in God. Keep praying. And then she said, but there's another reason. She said, you see, the higher up you go, the more likely it is you're going to get knocked down at some point, because life is like that. Life is just like that. You're never always soaring. The human story is the story of tragedy and hope. Of tragedy and hope. You get knocked down, but as the song says, we fall down, but we get up. And she said, and so if you're on your knees, when you are knocked down, you will not fall too far. Did you get that? Give my grandmama a round of applause for that idea. For that idea. And so I leave you with the words of 2 American women. One said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, our beloved Eleanor Roosevelt. And then from a woman from the Eastern Shore, every great dream begins with a dreamer, Harriet Tubman. You are the dreamers. Your parents can remember the day you were born. And today represents for them, I see my UMBC families in the room, dreams fulfilled. There's something special about thinking about you just a few years ago as babies, about to write your script somehow. And here you are now becoming the most respected human beings in the world. You know, Eleanor Roosevelt also said, we cannot live without hope. And when I look into your faces, I see beacons of hope. Every one of you will touch thousands of lives. And you will be the ones people look to and say, what now? I challenge you to watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. I tell my students, your character has everything to do with who you are when your mother's not there. When nobody is looking as you think. So thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become habits, habits become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Dreams and values. Young people, you are so special, and you can always be better. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the class of 2018. Congratulations.